Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catrice Miller, and welcome to Quick Take with Catrice. So here's where this idea came from. I was recently traveling on the East Coast, and something came to my attention by way of several series of commercials that I saw while I was staying there. And it really made me think I would love to talk about this, but the topic was very time sensitive. It was really of the moment, and it really did not allow for me to schedule a live event, post it, get attendees in the room, and then talk about it. So it reminded me that there are going to be opportunities where we'll come across really valuable information, but time just won't permit to set it up as a traditional live event. For those of you that have attended my previous live events, I scheduled them way in advance. I make sure that we get attendees in the room. I also give out handouts, also resources. So it really is more of a production. But quick takes are going to be for those short, spontaneous, insightful filled sessions that are meant to be very quick, very short, but are meant to be impactful. So as always, I will schedule these around the lunchtime hour because that's more convenient for me and it's more convenient for you. And then we'll always have the replays available as well. So let's dive into the actual issue or the event that prompted the birth of this new series. And that is the issue of learning how to speak like a leader, not a candidate. Lessons from the New Jersey governor race. Now, as a Chicago girl, I don't know anything about what's going on in New York and New Jersey. But as I mentioned, I was recently there. And because I was there, I'm in the hotel room and I'm seeing ad after ad after ad on these commercials talking about the New Jersey governor race. And one of the ads really struck me because it was targeted against the lady's name was Mikey Sherrill, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names, but it was targeted against her, and it really showcased her in a bad light. And not knowing much about her, it prompted me to do a little bit of quick research to see who she was. So I'm going to try to play the video here. Hopefully it'll allow me to do so. If not, I'll just drop the clip and the link for the video in the description, and you guys can go back and check it out. But it's very short, only 30 seconds. So if it doesn't play, I'll recap what actually is said in the video. So let's try to see if it'll let me actually play the video. Okay.
If you could pass one piece of legislation, what would it be?
Wow, I would love, that's a really good question because there's so many that are coming to mind right now. But right now, I would love at this point to pass legislation to, as a...
You're kidding me, right? You want to be governor and you can't answer that question? We have skyrocketing electric bills and a state people can't afford. We need to fix New Jersey. I will.
If you could pass...
Okay, hopefully you guys are able to check that out. Once again, I will drop the link in the description later on for those who need to view it. But let's go over what happened here. This candidate was actually on a news show, and she was asked the question, if you could change or create any piece of legislation, what would you create? What would you pass? And her response, let's talk about her verbal response and then her visual response. So verbally, her first reaction was the word wow. Mistake number one, you don't want to say wow when you are speaking about political issues and you're speaking on a platform such as CBS News. So mistake number one, she leads in with wow. Really great question. So many things come to mind. And then she preceded that following with a series of ums and pauses. And then with the body language, she was deflated. She was leaned over and slumped. And then towards the end, she actually started visually moving her hands to try to articulate what her words could not get out. Now, let's pause for a second. This is by no means a shame of her, or we're not knocking her, because we've all been in her position. We're just using this as an opportunity to learn and grow from the platform that she created. So, did a quick study on her, and this is definitely an educated, intelligent woman. She is a member of the U.S. House of Representatives since January 2019, former U.S. Navy helicopter pilot, also former federal prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and she's a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and Georgetown University and Georgetown Law. So clearly, this woman is smart. Clearly, she knows the information, or she should know the information. So that's not what's going on here. That's not the problem. And honestly, that's what happens so often in many of the leaders and the executives and lawyers and professionals that I work with, and even myself in the past, I've been plagued with this problem. The problem is that sometimes your knowledge is not going to be conveyed in the messaging if you do not focus on making sure your messaging is intact and you're not presenting it correctly. So, understanding that leadership and knowledge in the field is not conveyed alone on your record. And you cannot rely solely on your expertise and your reputation to speak for you. You're going to need to make sure you do something extra above relying on your record to make sure that you're able to truly convey yourself as a leader and an expert in your field. So today, in our quick take, in less than 15 minutes, we are going to identify 3 quick takeaways that you can use for public speaking. Now, I know we're not going to be on the same platform as this young woman. She's on the news, she's running for political office, but honestly, so many of us are on similar platforms where we are in front of we're on stages, in front of our peers, in front of colleagues, in front of audiences, or even just in our day-to-day work. We're presenting in boardrooms, we're presenting to groups within our divisions, our offices, our companies. So this is a great lesson for anyone who has to engage in public speaking. So here's tip number 1. Tip number 1 is memorize the message, not the script. You do not want to focus on memorizing the lines. You want to make sure you are memorizing your main points. And also, along with that, you want to create something that I call your anchor. Your anchor is going to be the one message that you want the audience to walk away with. And essentially, your talk is going to be centered around this one message. And when you're clear on your message, your words are going to flow naturally and your confidence is going to rise. So put a pin in that for a moment and remember that concept of the anchor. We're going to actually come back to that in a moment. Next point, I want you to practice out loud. Yes, that means you, even if you are an expert. So many times people think, hey, I've been in this game for a long time. I've been in this industry for a long time. I don't need to practice my speech or practice my presentation like a junior associate or someone who's a junior executive new to the game. Yes, I'm talking to you the same way I would talk to myself. Confidence grows from repetition, not intention. So I encourage you to make sure you are practicing when at all possible. What does practice look like? Practice looks like actually recording yourself answering questions, recording yourself presenting ideas, and recording yourself summarizing your talking points. Then you're going to want to take those recordings, circle back, and listen to them to help you catch filler words, rush phrases, and also the ums and the ahs and all the words you don't want to add, and that hesitation that adds to undermining your authority. The key here is if you can hear it ahead of time, there's room to fix it to help you sound like a leader when it, when it really does matter. All right, point number 3. Point number 3 is learning how to pause to think and then bridge back to your anchor. When you're asked a question that you're not fully ready for, and that's clearly what happened here in the video, first thing you want to do is slow down and do not rush. In the video, you see she jumped right in, hence the word or the response of wow. That's why she said that most likely, because she rushed to answer the question. So instead of rushing into it, you want to use what's called a bridging phrase to give yourself more space to think about something that's going to sound composed, deliberate, in control, like a leader. Now, I know nothing about New Jersey politics, but I'll give this a shot at how I would have answered it. I would have said, great question. Let's unpack that question and focus on the current needs of New Jersey. Out of all of these, I believe the greatest need is, and where I would point my legislation would be, and then I would fill in my anchor point. As I said before, in point number 1, you're going to want to identify your anchor. That's the basis of your talk, your presentation. That's your core message. You can always go back and revert back to your core message when in doubt. But in this instance, the initial question threw you off. So even though you have the anchor, you need help getting back to the anchor. And that's what that bridging phrase does. It helps you get back to the anchor, helps you reposition yourself, and it signals control. Nowhere in there do you hear and ah and wows, and I'm not slumped down, I'm not moving my hands, I'm not getting nervous. And that's going to signal clarity. It's going to signal clarity in the message and confidence in your delivery. So our takeaway, guys, is this. Understand that leaders do not panic under pressure. They pause with purpose and they deliver with confidence and with clarity. I encourage you to follow me for more tips and more tricks on how to navigate these spaces and how to portray yourself as a leader when you are delivering your message, presentation, speeches, and anything related to your performance. Also, in light of what we learned here in the New Jersey race, it really prompted me to create a very short series in which I'm going to focus on how to communicate like a leader. I'm going to be dropping those videos in short bite-sized pieces where we can view those and we can learn further lessons on how to navigate this space and how to truly perform well under pressure. All right, I'm under 15 minutes. I kept my promise to you there. I hope you all have a fabulous, amazing day, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.